Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Breakthrough SaaS Growth with the Jasons. Today, we're welcoming back someone to the podcast who's been there, in customer success, really from the very early days. He helped shape the category. He's written a number of books and at least one of the definitive books on customer success. And he's now asking the question that I think a lot of people in customer success are feeling, but maybe haven't said quite out loud. The title was, Has Customer Success Lost Its Mojo? Not because scaling was wrong, not because automation was wrong, not because digital is wrong, but because in our rush to scale, we've sometimes lost the thing that's made customer success really valuable in the first place. And that's understanding each customer really deeply enough to help them succeed in context that is them, that means something to them. And the really exciting part now is with AI, we may have finally found a way to get this back, not by replacing humans, but by better enabling us and giving us better context, better time, and better judgment. So today we're going to talk about individualized customer success at scale, what it means, what has to change, and whether AI can help customer success get its mojo back. Welcome back to the show, Guy Nirpaz. You're still focused on what customer centricity is really about, but building AI into that. So you're now the CEO and founder of Perspective AI. Do you just want to give the listeners a little overview of what you guys are doing?
So as you said, I was the founder and CEO of Tatango, and we were one of the early customer success technology providers. And because customer success was not a thing when we started, we had to do a lot of work around definitions of customer success. And, so I got very much deep into that with a lot of leaders, business leaders and customer success leaders and customer experience. And one of the things that I've always been passionate about was this idea of either customer centricity or customer-centered businesses and so forth. And I've noticed that a lot of people like it. Very few companies actually practice it. And I'm on a mission to solve this. And the two issues that, the main reason why people don't do it is because it's hard. And I think the two key friction points that I found that require solving is understanding customers is extremely hard. And because the way organizations are being built, once there's knowledge about a customer, it's usually siloed within few pockets of the organization, and not the entire organization is aware of that. So the idea with Perspective is, let's use AI to have significantly more conversation with customers across the customer journey. And by doing so, we really stream in continuously more knowledge about our customers, then distribute this across the organization to assess and identify what are the key priorities and make progress. So one of the things that I like to think about is you always have top 3 priorities in customer success or customer experience to become more customer centric, but they have to change because you got to knock down number 1 and then move to number 2, but you always need to have the top 3. And that's how the cycle of customer centricity improves. And that's what we do in a very short, instead of surveys, instead of forums, instead of the need to schedule a meeting to interview customers, you can simply create an agent, send this to customers. It's a topical agent. It will uncover the information, and this information is immediately available for consumption, distribution, and so forth. And of course, it's all taking advantage of the AI capabilities, so everything is available. So they're very simple. Let me give two. It's not just for customer success, but let me give 2 critical customer success examples. Churn analysis. What do we do in order to prevent that? We need to understand what is the root cause. How do we know what the root cause? NPS doesn't give you the root cause. CSAT doesn't give you the root cause. You really need to understand what is it that we don't do well. Is it competitive? If it's competitive, what about the competition offering is better? Is it something else? Most people have a very hard time reaching people when they decide to cancel. Usually this is where they shut down because they don't feel they feel bad about that decision, especially if there was a relationship before. But after every cancellation or even before, getting the lay of the land super quickly. If you can spend 5-10 minutes with my agent, you can talk to it, you can text to it, no judgment, just for me to learn and understand as a business. Very quickly, businesses start to understand what are they dealing with. And, obviously you don't want to do this just at cancellation. You want to do this 6 months ahead and 12 months ahead and so forth. And if I give another use case, which is classical in customer success, so the sales team is selling this amazing offering, and now the FDEs or the customer success specialist on the onboarding team needs to actually implement all these goodies that have been sold. So you got to map what is it that the customer actually wants to do. How do you do that? You do a kickoff meeting, you try to document everything and so forth. But what if instead of the kickoff meeting, you send an agent to all the stakeholders or everyone involved and ask a simple question: what does success look like? What are your expectations? And ask enough information. And then in the kickoff meeting, here's the readout. This is what we've heard from you. Are we on board? If we're going to deliver that, is this the goal that you're looking for? And of course, nothing is static and so forth. So this idea of, one of the things that I've realized, there's no replacement to deep conversation. So let's have as many of those as possible. And because, the customers are busy, we're busy. If we can find a effective way to have more footprint of conversation, which is, not a survey, it's got a little bit deeper, we can be more successful with that. So that's what Perspective AI is. That's what we're doing for our customers.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I'm kind of excited for our listeners as well, too, because you kindly offered that we could try it out with this episode as well, too. So for anyone who's listening today, if you want to see what it's like in action from a customer perspective, go to the show notes, and Guy, maybe you can tell a little bit more about what they could expect and what this will look like for them.
Sure. Click the link. You'll see the lovely faces of the Jasons greeting you, and then you can decide if you want to talk or just text. And it's basically an agent that is going to ask you, what do you think about the show, and what would you like to see improving? What's the episode that you like the most and why, and so forth. It's a super friendly conversation. We are seeing over 90% completion rate of these conversations. Fantastic. So this is not about the show. It's about you, the customer in this case, the audience, the listener, preferences, and there's no judgment. Nobody's frowning. Just say the way you like it. Say it in your own language, by the way. It's multi-language, but even so, you can speak your own vocabulary. You don't need to decide based on brackets. Just,
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah,
thank you. Because I know I always love to try a new tech and see what it's all about and really experience to say, is this something I can visualize using with my clients or what it might look like? But also, as the co-host here, I'm really excited to hear what people will share with us, because we always want to make sure we have guests and topics that really resonate with people. So please, to all our listeners, please go ahead and click and let us know.
I think that the really cool thing about this as well, guys, that having an AI agent do this, you've suddenly got rid of any worry about being judged, and even having to schedule a call, schedule a meeting. This is whenever you want. And I think I know myself, it's easy to talk to AI. It's easy to be more frank and open and transparent. So I think this is a game changer, this. And some of those conversations, like you said about churn, customers don't like telling you why they're really left. They find it very difficult sometimes. And there are external organizations that bring people in and do it. Having a tool that does this, that brings the conversation in at the right time for that person, as you said, in their language, it's game-changing stuff, this, and it's a great use of seeing this incredible technology.
Yes, and if you think about this, because we as humans, we are motivated by narratives, by stories. So now you don't need to convince your PM, your product manager, this is what you've heard. Yeah. There's this transcript. Here's what they said, and here's in their own language. And maybe we disagree on the judgment, on the analysis, but we can't disagree on the fact. That's what they said. This is, in response to this question, now do with this as you will. But it makes the organization faster aligned around, what the market is saying to us, what our customer base is saying us, or potential customers, or competitive, customers of our competitors, and so forth. There's a lot of opportunity there. I think the last point I would say that you guys commit to the audience, to the listeners, that you're actually going to listen and take action.
Yep, I think that's huge.
Guy, look, it's a really exciting tool. I'm excited that you're letting us to try this out with our listeners. You, as I said at the beginning, though, you wrote this article about customer success losing its mojo. What was the pattern or moment for you that made you feel that this is happening now, that you've got to write about it? What was that point?
I left the role of CEO of Tatango at the end of 2022, and I was more closer to everything that's happening in AI and the development environment and so forth. And I kind of noticed a bit from afar that every time I bring that topic up, there's some sense of disillusionment. People are not excited the way I remember the customer success summits that we used to run. I remember, meeting with customers. There was a lot of pride in, owning the flag of customer success and customer centricity, and I kind of felt that it faded. So I started listening to her myself, started to talk to a lot of folks that I have relationship with. And I think that there was this coffee conversation that I had with a very smart person, Zoal. And I was trying to I keep asking this question, which is, okay, so where, let's not talk about the functional. Let's talk about the emotional. What's going on? Why all of a sudden all the CEOs don't trust their success leaders and everyone is trying to, is it that retention or upsell or, are the metrics not important anymore, or is there a better way to do it? And I think the article was this, what I thought I'm hearing is that the real driver behind people that work with customers, what makes a good day for customer experience, customer success, is really driving value to customers. Not in a sense, not in the metric way. If I had a day in which I was able to move my customer forward, if I was able to solve problems, and problems could be difficult. It's not about simple. It's not about easy. It's about actually, making customers successful, getting promoted later on. That is a good day. And a day in which we are focused on administration or justifying our role, that's not a great day. And there are more bad days than good days. What I was able to glean from that is that what people are looking for, that the value or the set of values that these types of people are types of people, is very about pro customer and customer driving motion. That's the set of that's the core belief of why you wake up every morning. It's not about taking the paycheck. It's about being meaningful and valuable to drive value to customers, right? That's the core. This is the mojo, and that I think. And then I was trying to pull the thread. So what just happened? So clearly, there's been this. I wrote about this as well. There's always been this debate whether customer success is customer centric or journey centric, or whether it's CSM centric. I was always on the camp that it's customer centric or journey centric, and not success manager centric. And I had debate with other vendors in that space. And I think now that AI is kind of really emphasizing super strongly that it's not CSM centric, it's very kind of customer centric. I think this is where, all of a sudden we, by thinking about it, we forget what is it that we're trying, maybe there's other ways, more efficient ways, more effective ways, more technological ways to drive value to customers, to more customers, more frequently, and so forth. But that's still the core of that. And when this is not this is not the focus of the activity, and the focus of the activity is on tactical sending email, next best action, all these things, and which I'm sure we're going to talk more about that. I think this is where there's this disconnect between. I also feel that this is like on us, the folks in the community. That's kind of my sense. It may sound like a criticism, but we haven't brought back any like new initiative or story into the boardroom. So what do you suggest? Right, everyone is saying AI and agents. So what do you suggest, Mr. Chief Customer Officer, VP of Customer Success, VP of Customer Experience? What's what do you lead with? And then there's this vacuum. You don't say anything. So the message is, okay, go build agents, figure out stuff with AI. And I've really been trying to ask a lot of people, okay, so what do you guys do with AI? Tell me, I want to hear, what's the best practice with AI in customer success? I must say, and and if anyone from the audience has like a good success story, I would, feel free to reach out to me. I really want to learn. I haven't heard anything which is groundbreaking just yet.
No. I haven't either, and I think people are still, some are trying to experiment, some are early stages of figuring it out. But I love your earlier premise too, talking with folks, because a lot of the folks I've talked with who's been in CS for a while, it's like CS is stuck, and then I've talked about other people in their career like, well, I'm stuck in CS now, and it's this constant what the hell are we doing here? There's nothing new, there's nothing innovative, and also I think kind of going into the focus on playbooks and activities. When I talk with buyers of software, they've got 10, 15, 20 different vendors all trying to have their time on their calendar and do their QBRs and all this other stuff. And I think they're feeling like it's all the same crap and none of it's moving the needle when I look across these vendors. So I think even the software buyers are like, why are we doing this? This doesn't come in here. So I think that sort of leans back to, one of the questions that we wanted to ask with what you're trying to do now and in the future where you see with agents is, did we over automate the same repetitive bullshit for a lot of folks that was not really tailored? And how is it going to be different with AI? Or were there some other problems that made CS lose its mojo? Because 10, 15 years ago, people were all in and excited. Now people are like, let's try cutting the team and see what happens.
Yeah. So I think let's have a historical perspective. So why people got excited? First, there was the SaaS and recurring revenue made it necessary to make sure customers are successful, because we moved the power from the vendor that is selling software to the client that can decide to buy individualized seats or whatever. And you got to make sure that there's value. Because there's a decision coming every month, every year, that you got to make sure that goes in the right direction and so forth. So, besides just relationship, there's also needs to be value on top of that and so forth. So that was and then the speed of innovation was, okay, so, we can look at all of our customers as one big pile of customers. So let's invent this idea of cold health. What was the idea of health is let's have some sort of a qualitative metric to each customers that will help us. I think that took a turn, which I'm not that happy with, but it can predict, right? Fine. I mean, if someone can predict the future, go their Polymarket, their call sheet, go do whatever you need to do to make money. But besides that, it's not about predicting. It's about being able to assess situationally, based on the color, what's the next action. That's the most important thing, like at the height of it. And then that was not enough. So let's, how can we create this predictable engagement model that is actually going to more reliably turn reds into greens, right? So that was like that. And then we realized that the problem with customer success is that it's a one big thing. And when you're trying to implement, there's too many things. It's just too much. There's so many, like in sales, you got opportunity lifecycle management from lead to deal. It's one. In customer success, you got onboarding and adoption and renewal and escalations and advisory boards and so forth. It's too much. Let's break it down into modules that are easily manageable and build this, pyramid of every module contributes to the renewal and upsell. So that was like the modularity and so forth. But ultimately, so that was good because there was constant innovation. What can we do next in order to solve a problem that is very clear? I think the problem that we're seeing right now the term that I mentioned that was wrong. The variability of every customer is so big that by planning for a generic journey, you're actually not doing a good job. I get the need for predictability, but you're actually not doing a good job in driving outcome to every customer, because customers are different stages in their journey, buying the product for the generic, the high level, they buy the product for the same reason. But specifically, they're organized differently, they deploy differently, they have different metrics that they care about, they have different market dynamics and so forth. So, maybe for you, Jason, meeting once a week with your CSM is a good therapy, but maybe for someone else, it's, I want to talk to you every time that I have an issue, and when I have an issue, I need to not like that bug. When I need to design the next phase, I need you to be available for me super quickly, because I don't have time to drag this over 2 months. But these are just examples. So this idea of create playbooks or campaigns that are around one size fits all model. I get the motivation, but it's the wrong outcome. So the turn needs to be, how can we scale highly, like every customer has its own tailored journey. Of course, there's similarities in some things, but every customer has its own journey. It's driven by the customer, not by the vendor, right? So it's not, you don't push, it's a pull model. And that journey, of course, is iterative, and it drives the outcomes that you're looking for. So that's just a different framing of what you're trying to solve. Yes, ultimately, net revenue retention, or the financial metrics that you're looking for, you're looking to scale it using AI. All of that is true. This is the premise. But AI has the technology to do that. But you're trying to do that, and then the challenge becomes, okay, so how do I know, first, what's the V1 of the model? B, how do I operate that? And C, how do I build learning into every customer its own journey? And how do I build learning into the system? This is the promise of AI. Trying to build to tango with AI agents. It's interesting, but it's already being built. So why would you do that? But what you can do right now, that's the key challenge of your business, is try to build this personalized. There was always this idea that, sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it sounds like very much enabling customers to have sort of like those choose your own adventure books where, based on their needs and desires, you tweak it for it, which has a lot of instinctive, intuitive appeal, assuming that you've got a CS team with the skills to execute around all that stuff. I'm wondering, as you think about that, how do you see that also changing other aspects of customer success? So, for example, I know right now some organizations, they have very clear CS service level tiers of like, oh, you're on this CS plan, you do this much. Oh, you're a white glove customer, you get this. You're another one. And they're able to do that because they have those standardized delivery models. And I'm just sort of wondering, in a world where AI is coming in for a choose your own adventure, how do you see it either impacting that or structures of CS teams to deliver that customized service that AI can enable so much of it, but I think there's going to be a lot of downstream implications that the CS teams are going to struggle with.
Yeah. So I think first, I mean, even like challenging the organization, I'd say this is like it's a journey based, and if you have, let's say one of the reasons behind, let's say the classification enterprise, let's say versus let's make it really different: enterprise, SMB, and consumer. The way in which you engage with them is not dependent on how much they pay you. It's dependent on the engagement that they can consume or wish to consume. As consumer doesn't have the bandwidth to have so many meetings, SMB doesn't have so many layers and skills that allow them to. So even the way in which you talk to SMB, let's say you talk to a dentist office, or you sell to a dentist office, they don't have IT, they don't have structured process management, they don't have so many people involved. So the way they want to consume their journey is very different language, different types of activities. Right. Enterprise is there's an element of building consensus, there's an element of security, privacy, there's elements of various controls and checks and so forth. So for them to be successful, they have to go through a much more. They need different types of services, and as a result, they're paying significantly more for the service. But it doesn't start with enterprise is the price, and for that reason, that's the engagement. It's actually the other way around, which you design the engagement around the customer. Now, the win-win, in my opinion, the win-win is, nobody's wasting their time. If enterprise is deciding to buy technology from a vendor, they want quick time to value. They want this to be delivered. They want this to be valuable. Now, with this move, which I think we're all seeing to, consumption-based pricing, token-based pricing, whatever, it even makes the alignment between the provider and the customer even more so. So this is why the FDEs come to bear, because you got this last mile problem that you got to connect, so you want to get the customer as quickly as possible, start churning the token consumption system. So let's send someone on site to connect the wires and build whatever is necessary. But I think this is the right approach, right? The right approach is the win-win is once tokens are starting to be consumed, this is where things are starting to work. The reason why the client is consuming the tokens is to achieve a business outcome. The reason why the vendor is selling those tokens to deliver capabilities, not a solution in most cases, capabilities to deliver those business outcomes. So that's how people think about this, right? I mean, if you think about this, FDE, it's kind of funny. FDE is like a forward deployed engineer. It's basically a technical customer success manager. But basically it says that they deploy AI products. So now they call FD, which is good because they can make more money because the salary for FD is higher. I told my developers stop calling this function calls, call it inference, 30% salary increase. Stop calling it test, call it evals, another 30% salary increase. So, great. We have new language for AI, but really, if jokes aside, this is the thinking, right? The build mechanics, build the railways to get value to customers as quickly as possible. And if doing this with people is slowing it down, don't do this with people. Right?
I think really exciting thing about this is if you look at even when we all talked about the idea of QBRs, I've always said, you're saying to a business, we're going to come and talk to you quarterly, not when do you want us to talk to you? Do you want us to talk to you at all? We forced this way of working on customers. I loved what you were saying about tokens as well, because I was chairing a conference a while back, and there's a discussion I was having with a guy there that said there's a whole new marketplace coming with AI about businesses using tokens and a marketplace focused on tokens. And it's this, how do you outcome-based pricing, the idea of different success models. It almost, I think the pricing, and I know organizations charge some of their customers for customer success across those different tiers, but I think this model does away with that pricing. It's almost what you're paying for the outcome that you want and how you get there. You're not paying for a customer success function. I think this way of thinking flips a lot of the traditional models massively. You, Guy, on your LinkedIn post, you replied to the comment that I left, and you said that context and a custom fit journey for every customer is key. And I could not agree more. And we talked about this earlier on at the beginning about customer centricity. But for you, what does true customer understanding really mean in practice? That's a big question.
So, we kind of, there's this term called customer 360, right? And I never liked it that much, because what it basically meant is, all right, if I'm going to have all the data points from all the systems or from all the interaction points with customers, I'm just going to bring them to a centralized location. I'm good. So we gotta mention health because data on its own is not sufficient. But even if you do that, and even if you have health, it's not sufficient because do you know if renewal would have happened today, a year before? What's your intentions? And why are those intentions? If they're positive, tell me more. Why are you thinking that this is or not, and so forth. And it's not just about renewal, but ultimately it's about the decision the customer is having. But you're trying to really understand not the historical information, but the future intent of your client. Yeah, if you can anticipate, not in a predictive model, if you can anticipate what is it that they plan to do, that will really help you deliver the products, the services to clients ahead of time. I think the systems that we've built, let's say, the past decade, were focused on observing activities right into Tango. You had usage tracking. You could see past conversation. Now every conversation is recorded, so you can see what was discussed, and you're observing, and you're trying to figure out, given what they did, given what they said, this is what I think is going to happen. But it's not. You're not sure that this is what's going to happen, and you want to be. It's not about being sure. It's about really knowing in order to be able to make choices, right? I mean, if your customer really likes you, but they don't really see a difference between the service you're offering and your competitor. So even if they don't say it like that, if the competitor is going to come up with a 50% discount, if you know that this is the situation, you're gonna be in a hard spot because you'll have to react to that. So my point being is, it's not just feedback. It's kind of more of a true understanding of the information about the customer, or knowing the customer in a way in which you can design your next steps. What? I made it too tactical. It's not about next steps. It's kind of really understanding where this relationship is going. Right? Where is it going? Is it going into there's more that we can do together, or you're happy with what you've got, which could be good, and so forth. And maybe one last comment on what you said before on cost of customer success and services and so forth. Look, the way I'm looking at that, it's an SLA thing. The reason why OpenAI can sell them a $10 million FD to an account is because this account wants to be ahead of the line in order to deploy their. So if you're in this market where the demand for your services is so much higher and people are willing to pay to cut the line, good. It doesn't make any business sense not to organize the line according to that. If you're in the business of you don't have such a demand, and you need to consider whether you want to charge for by charging, are you accelerating token consumption, or by charging you are slowing down token consumption for decision making and so forth. So, I mean, there's all sorts of considerations there, but I think ultimately it's for the end result of connecting the pipes of token to start working faster and for longer.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. And I love what you're saying about context matters, because what's right for one customer will not be right for the other. I often think about it like when playing poker. The cards are the cards. You can either play the cards, you can play the person, and the context matters. So it's definitely, I think, becoming the same here. I love.
So you're like Harvey from Suits. You play the person, huh?
You got it, man. Context of relationships are king. Love that show. I loved the historical perspective that you gave earlier today too, because I think for some of the folks who've been around CS as long as we all have, we've seen all those iterations of the next, latest, greatest thing, and I think you're definitely right that it has stalled, in my opinion. Like the past 2 or 3 years, it's sort of been in a holding pattern, and I'm very excited to see that with the AI and with really also having that historical perspective, say what is working from all the stuff that we layered on. Did it ever work? Does it still work? Do we still need it going forward with everything? So I guess I'm just kind of curious, and I know we're almost at time here. What do you think is like the one biggest shift that's really needed in the next 2 years for CS to truly get its mojo back and be able to deliver on its promise?
Yeah. So I think first principles are critical. Driving value to customers. Maybe if it only was the measurement was net revenue retention or whatever financial metrics. Let's use also the emotional measure. And I had more good days than bad days, right? Driving value both from value to customers, but also get a more immediate indication, personal indication that this actually happens. So these are the first principles. I think I would say another small sign where things are going wrong. If you're talking agents and AI without any specifics, tell me how does your journey evolve, or how does the engagement model evolves? But all you have to say is agents. No, seriously, because agents is like software. It's like saying, okay, we're not. Agent is like the new way to describe software these days, right?
Right.
So we used to call it software, then we used to call it SaaS. Now you call it agents. It's just a modality. It's just the way in which software operates. So if you're telling me that, so what do you guys do? We use agents. Okay, what agents are you using? How are you using this? How you manage customer context? How you manage organization context? Tell me about your flywheel, your cycle, your loops. How do they run? Without buzzwords, without human in the loop. Stop the buzzwords. Tell me specifically, how does a customer describe your customer journey? Tell me where, how instead of QBRs, what's the next best thing that you're doing after QBRs, right? I was just talking to a client yesterday, and I mentioned to them that there's a known story around Airbnb where Brian Chesky would ask the team, okay, so we understand what's a 3-star hotel looks like. What's the standard of 3 stars? What's the standard of 4 stars and 5 stars? What is 6 stars? What a 6-star experience is? What is 7 stars? What's 8 stars? What's 9 stars? Same thing about your customer journey. Yeah. Not do in 2026 the same experience that you've done in 2018. What's a 5-star, 6-star, 7-star customer journey? So it's clear that things that are obvious are going to be there. A, it's going to be tailored for every customer specifically. B, it's going to be, latency is going to be super low, meaning that's driven by the customer. It is proactive. It's every interaction adds value. No, of course, there's the cost associated with that. But just as anecdote, I was in 2 years ago, I think I was in one of the local AI conferences here. Sorry, customer success and AI conferences here. And the funny part was there was a lot of very serious executives would come on stage and pitch, here's a problem we've got in our business. So they describe very well the problem with a lot of details, and AI is going to solve it. And then another problem, completely different, and AI is going to solve it. And now AI is being replaced with agent is going to solve it. That's not enough. We need to have the way to think about it. So if I may, at a very high level, one is I call this, we moved from customer experience and customer success. I call it customer momentum. And moreover, it's continuous customer momentum. You want to call it agentic customer momentum. But the idea it's a concept of a flywheel that whatever you do with customer first is cyclic. It's not linear. It's always learning. It's always improving, right? So every iteration is improving. Every iteration with every customer, every iteration with every journey is always improving, because what you're trying to generate of your customer base is momentum. A, momentum for the customer, and B, momentum by other customers, right? The best companies is the companies that their customer base is humming. I mean, you can hear the buzz. It's not like this who is your customer? And they have like two logos that they keep giving all the references to the same people time and time again. The customer base is humming. They're expecting. They're seeing movement. There's dynamics that is happening between future customers, and so forth. Are you using these guys? No, you should stop using them. Come join us. Use this vendor. They're the best, right? That's the dream of every founder, every CEO, every CMO, every chief customer officer. That's what you're trying to create, this customer momentum. And this is where one of the beautiful things that I like about AI is that allows you to think big, break it down into
That's so true. Yeah.
deliverable that you can think big and implement this quickly and test and try and so forth. So I think that is that. Now on the architecture, probably, I mean, obviously I'm selling my own book, but probably true customer understanding, and there's many more, like you really need to have a much richer context about your customers. That's one thing. Secondly, we used to be in systems of record where that was the most important information, then systems of engagement. Now I think it's, context becomes, it's actually small. Context is not huge. It's not all the call recordings. It's not all the data points. It's the core truth that drive actions and decisions and strategic or tactical. So context, customer-based context needs to be something that companies need to manage. Otherwise, the agent will work out of stale information with bad actions. So customer context is going to be big. And of course, I mean, I'm super happy with that. This is the celebration. Everyone that likes process, this is like amazing. Sure. You can design.
It's that last comment there about the context is critical, because we've done a couple of episodes recently where there is this big shift on AI, and lots of people are struggling with what it's doing for them. I loved what you said about we've moved from software to SaaS, and it is AI, and it's all one and the same thing now, and or agents, it's one and the same thing. But what we were talking about not too long ago was how the foundations are still broken in a lot of organizations. That fundamental data, that system of record they've got is broken. And what we're looking at now is so the idea of personalizing a lot of the journey is fundamental, and how do we individualize customer success here? It's such a key thing. And I think I love this conversation, Guy, is phenomenal. We could go on, but I'm really excited about what you guys are doing at Perspective AI. And I really, again, I think the opportunity for us to include it in the show notes is a really, really good one. So Guy, look, a huge thank you from us to you. Jason, do you just want to recap how people can access the technology that Guy's going to give us access to?
Yeah, so in the show notes, there'll be a link in there, and we'll ask you some questions to help us better understand what you're looking for from our podcast and what topics are of value to you and where it's going to go. But really check it out, because it will also let you preview as an end user the potential experience your customers could have to really learn perspective and gain more information. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Guy directly. Guy, we also like to give everyone just a opportunity to do a shameless plug. So please let folks know how they can get in touch with you or anything, your company or any other projects that are of interest. And we'll include any links that you want in the show notes too.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on X. If people want to, both of them is Guy Nirpaz, so it's very easy to find. So that's if you want to talk more, I'm really excited about these topics, not just the products I'm involved in. And if you want to try out Perspective for your own company, it's a freemium model. So just head over to our website, getperspective.ai, sign up, complete a quick onboarding interview, and you have access to 250 credits of Perspective. You can try it out on yourself, and if you like it, it's easy to upgrade to a paying service. But we are very low friction as much as possible, and we're excited. I really appreciate your show, guys. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to appear here again.
Guy, I love the onboarding for you guys. Is you're using the product to onboard as well, aren't you? You're talking to it. Genius. That's just showing people how how this should work. Really cool. I'm excited. I can't wait to try it out myself. Guy, thank
Great.
you so much. A great conversation. Great to have you back with us.